Through steadfast devotion to the gods of fear, time, and money, humankind was led to manifest a world colored by scarcity, competition, and sorrow.
As we're moving into this so-called 2017, what do you feel? What do you feel is are coming or going to emerge, just from even from a sort of projective guess?
Yeah, what I'm seeing is a vital year coming up, and one that I'm personally looking forward to a great deal, largely because 2016 was so shit. But 2027, I think, is going to be a remarkable year. If judging by what's happened with the trumpet ascendancy in the United States, either which way, that's going to shake up the established order somewhat. Whether he's part of a controlled narrative or not is almost immaterial to my mind, because it was the bitch Clinton who was absolutely intended by the Jesuits to get in the saddle in the Oval Office, and that did not happen. And so the Khazarian Zionist reticulan mob cabal have almost certainly taken such a heavy kick to the gonads that they'll be doubled up roundabout now. So that's going to probably play out in some pretty nefarious ways, like this quote-unquote assassination of the Russian ambassador to Turkey. Classic case in point, which appears to be something of a controlled scenario. But I think we're going to see a lot more false flag events, a lot more squibs and pops and bangs going off, which is always what the Jesuits ultimately end up doing. God knows they've set Operation Gladio has been in place since the Second World War, which is a highly extensive, heavily funded network of heavily controlled, mind-controlled agents in all nations, more particularly in Europe, and that those agents are the agents that tend to go and set off the bombs and create the disrupt. So we're going to see Operation Gladio kick in, I think, increasingly, especially in Eurasia. How much attention people place upon these controlled events is going to matter a great deal, because the more that we place attention onto them and give them life, give them animation, the more we give them traction in changing policy and in framing our reality. So it becomes very important to almost evolve a certain kind of psychopathy. I would call it a philosophical psychopathy, or an intellectual philosophical psychopathy, where you begin to entrain your mind to be able to see and expect these grotesque blood and guts horror shows, knowing in advance that 99% of them are controlled narrative. So there's going to be 1 or 2% that you may have the wrong attitude towards. But in the main, I think to reclaim our own sanity from being indentured into these grisly storylines that are being set off, I think it becomes very important to engage that certain kind of detachment from that false reality. Right. We now know enough about these crisis actors and the false flag events that have been happening all around the world, the Sandy Hook thing, the Brussels attacks, the Paris attacks, all the rest of them. We even had the former head of clandestine operations at the CIA tell us this on film with the Je Suis Humanity campaign that we launched last year, Robert David Steele. So you've got these incredible whistleblowers, Dr. Pijnik, who just came out, largely representing the 16 military intelligence networks agencies in the United States, came out on film with his categorical statements a few weeks ago on behalf of that intelligence network, saying if Hillary Clinton gets into office, they will take her down before she walks into the Oval Office in January. That was just before the election. You've got these incredible whistleblowers who are surfacing now, coming out, standing up, and just saying, okay, enough, game over, let's reset this. Let's break this bone and reset it. So you're going to see that pathology happen, I believe, in a more accelerated sense in 2017. So you're going to see seismic shifts taking place at that level in the psychoculture of the planet. But more importantly than that is the emergence of the cryptocurrencies, the zero-point economics propensity will start to be birthed in a monumental way in 2017, in direct proportion to the collapse of fiat currency systems, all of which are being engineered by the Jesuitical orders, the BIS, the IMF, the World Bank, and the Vatican, and the Crown of England, and very carefully stewarded by very dark actions coming out of MI6, Mossad, CIA, or elements within those intelligence infrastructures. And not just them, but the intelligence infrastructure in 200 nations around the world who are also largely implicated in that. So you're going to see a lot more grisly engineered acts of so-called terrorism occur. You're going to see the continued implosion of the global financial system. You're going to see, in proportion to that disclosure, the extraterrestrial and galactic cosmogenesis of the human genome and the human story, I believe, is going to really be placed on the table in 2017. It's almost unthinkable that it can take much longer than 2017, 2018, maybe on the outside. So all of those huge stories all appear to be confluencing around about. Yeah, and rightly so.
Yeah. So it's, and yeah, I was just going to say beautiful, and also that has to happen in order for those to dissolve and the new to birth. Yeah, is that what we have to? We have to see the decline, or the truth has to come out, and all of these, like you said earlier, they all has to be witnessed. Or well, maybe a question for you: does it all have to be witnessed by us all, or is it a case again, like you said, where focus goes, energy flows? Are we able to just pull ourselves out of that and create a whole new dimension reality without even having to take part or even entertain that craziness, or are we going to be affected by it regardless because it's in our field?
Well, more or less, both of those are likely to be the scenario. Again, where you place your attention is where you will synthesize, which it will determine which of those reality fields you synthesize. For those of us who are building the new earth, so to speak, and are dynamically engaged in digging ditches and building places and imbuing the art and the beauty and the consciousness in our lives and our lifestyles, I think are going to be somewhat protected from that. I know that I am now in a psychological and emotional and philosophical state of mind that I am equal to Armageddon occurring today. I'm equal to apocalypse occurring tomorrow. I would sit probably upstairs from here, look to the horizon, as I'm sure we did in Atlantean times or Lemurian times or ancient times, and witness the unfolding of cataclysm. And I'm fairly certain in my own mind that I'm positioned now, psycho-emotionally and philosophically, to experience and bear witness to cataclysm in a complete state of equanimity and poise. I've worked on that internally, and I feel I've arrived at that point. And so what I'm saying by that, Simon, is that we need to enact cataclysm internally and actually make, in a sense, come to terms with that seismic shift and the sea changes in order to acclimatize our innerscape to that possibility. Now, once you've engaged that shamanic journey, then come back into the world and conduct yourself in grace and in honor. That's it. That's it. Yeah, but don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in the dialectic of, is it going to happen? Is the markets collapse next Tuesday? Don't concern yourself with this.
And I'm glad you made that distinction, because what I do notice, and I see everyone, some of the things I've heard and watch, and you see people's responses and you just observe, but again, they're coming from individuals, and I speak to those out there who are just not doing the internal work. So when Sacha just said then he's gone and done the internal work where he feels he's in an equanimous place where he can witness that and also dissolve to this idea of that you're witnessing a body right now, or you're seeing Simon in a body or Sacha in a body, right? We're talking about moving beyond this concept of death as well.
Oh yeah, I'm quite clear that I'm seeing you, for instance, in your grandmother's cardigan. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind about that.
This is a new cardi, man. I got it from my granddad, man, not my grandnanny. But listen, you're not even seeing this as a cardigan. See, you're blurred. You need to do some more inner work. It's so true. But it's so lovely because it's so lovely. You know why it's lovely? Is because with that little bit of beautiful humor and laughter, there is a lightness and aliveness in this. Like, for example, I don't know if maybe, like you said earlier, I'm just crazy, but I don't really get too involved in all of that noise anyway, meaning that I'm just politics to me. I've got no space for it. I tap into a few key people that speak about it. I listen, I observe, and it doesn't at the moment affect me. I know it's affecting many, many people, and there's so much terror and fear, but I feel that I've definitely got myself to a position to be beyond that anyway. However, like you said, it's such a key energetic story that even if you don't entertain it, whatever, it just seeps in through some bloody voice, or some person walks past, or you're going down the road and you hear it in the shop, whatever. And I guess I always bring it back to, like, if the personal transformation, the inner transformation, Sacha, is how we literally transcend our body, our mind, our concept of time, and who we think we are, right? Yeah.
Yes,
then
yes.
as we dissolve that self, again, I guess I say to you, as we dissolve that and we do the work to dissolve that, does that still dimensions just stay there, but it's something you can access if you want, and it's just over there, or literally will that dimension die away? Like like the CIA and all this, like Satanism and all that.
I understand. Well, in my view, and this is to do with philosophical pondering more than anything else, but also to some great extent understanding and having a fairly keen and accurate understanding of my own experience, especially in the metaphysical realms, and seeing how change or shift and the alchemy of expression unfolds. I would suggest that we will see a shift, a paradigmatic shift that is so absolute that any of the old mutant forms, like intelligence infrastructures, parasitic or entropic infrastructures, up to and including city grids, industrial landscapes, wastelands, toxic dumps, all of that stuff in the explicit sense, but also human beings, and oftentimes subhuman beings in human form, who are not commensurate or equal to the value of the human heart, which is I call that frequency X. And if those members of the human family who are not equal to that value at a given point will drop off the tree, as rotten apples are wont to do. So those wastelands, those industrial landscapes, those highly toxic enterprises and constructs, which were all conceived, constructed, and sustained in false light,
fear,
in the old parasitic enterprise of dead blood economy and so on, they will almost certainly holonomically blink out of existence at a given point, simply because they are no longer needful. That when something is no longer of consequence, it doesn't exist. So the idea is, does a cricket chirp in the middle of the Amazonian rainforest when you're not there? Well, the answer to that is obviously yes, it does. And the answer is, why? And the answer to that is because it matters to the cricket and it matters to the tree. It doesn't mean that you have to be there witnessing it. Is there a rainforest on the dark side, on the other side of the moon? Well, there may well be. And if so, it's a matter of the conspiracy of reality that emerges from the creatures on the far side of the moon. It's nothing to do with you and me necessarily.
So there's
because it's real. It's organic. It's real. If it's organic and real, it exists, and there's a function, and it's needful. But where it's not needful, when a toxic wasteland or an industrial wasteland is no longer needful and doesn't serve, then I believe it will blink out of holonomic existence.
So again, if we bring it back to the people, if we look at the people who are who as many years have been said have the power, have where we put our attention, as we said, reality is created, where focus goes, energy flows. If we start to look at that like law that's been shown to us, no matter whether we're so-called in a dark space or a light space or whatever, we're creating that reality. on some level, then actually, again, it's this acquiescent, isn't it? It's this like, as long as we drink the Coca-Cola will make Coca-Cola. It's as simple as that, right? On a real basic level. So I think that's one thing. So let's move into, just for the last few minutes that I have you. Thank you for sharing that stuff. And again, just a reminder to people listening, there's a lot of links in the article below this video. You can go and explore some of this stuff that Sacha's spoken about. And also, if anything triggers and you're sparked and you're like, that sounds interesting, and that calls you, then follow the journey, follow the adventure. So let's just tap in for a little bit, because there's a big thing coming up for me around playfulness, aliveness, enjoyment. And I know you spoke about, okay, there's so much.
Just say it. I'm a swinger. Just say you're a swinger.
I'm just gonna say this is my grand's cardigan. I was lying. I didn't want to be transparent with you. I'm a swinger, a swinging 60s. So yeah, just like let's bring some of that to the viewers, because let's be honest, you've just spent a year at this new Earth Haven. There's been beautiful ceremonies, there's been beautiful celebrations. You've got a festival coming next year. I mean, like, as much as like, okay, we can focus on that dark shit and it's all this bad and there's going to be all this sort of like, terror on some level, but I mean, again, I don't experience that. I experience a hell of a lot of fun and joy and laughter, and when you step into this new way of being, where you're not, not even thinking you are who you thought you were, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of joy.
A lot of fun. There's creative expansion for you. There's the flame of sovereign expression, and that's a beautiful thing. And you can take it wherever you want to take it. You can project yourself or your plasma into the field and take it wherever you want to take it. And the more we relax and release ourselves from the old constrictions of ideation, of up and down and left and right and north, south, east, west, and tick-tock, all the false prison constructs that we've established, longitude, latitude, 24-hour clocks, the 12 houses of the horoscope, all of these nonsensical psycho-emotional and psycho-intellectual prisons that we've created for ourselves to define reality. And thereby we live in those false constructs and we die in them, because all they serve to do is to limit our capacity of effervescent multidimensionality. All they seek to do is cauterize us and circumcise us and blindfold us and manacle us. So at what point do you choose, at what point do I choose to step outside of that fiction and say, fuck it, there is no longitude, latitude. The earth is round, flat, ovoid, concave, all at the same time. I am part of a multifarious, multidimensional reality field of expression, and I will be the arbiter. I will be the determiner of the outcome. And you know what? I choose a blissful outcome. I choose an orgasmic, ecstatic, beautiful outcome. That's it. Yeah. And then engage reality with that flame. Yeah. And believe you me, when you step into that space and you own that kind of, that degree of truth and of clarity, of intentionalizing, there is a conspiracy of the universal mind to fall in and make it manifest with you. Exactly. Because the universe plays with a player, with somebody who's equal to it. Yeah. And the universe does not play with somebody who creates false definitions and shuffles along like some kind of android and enslaves themselves into entropic early death. Unfortunately, those very people who most need to be saved and redeemed from that grisly reality are the ones who will actually die to that reality and be part of the incarnatory cycle until one fine day we actualize within self in that space and see that we always held the key to transmute and transcend that false reality into, again, the immanent, effervescent, multidimensional, immortal reality.
Yeah. Boom. There it is. You are the same universal mind. It's like it wants to play with you. It wants to play with you, right? It plays. Look how it plays. Look at what we see. Look at what we witness. Look at the gratitude and the awe everywhere you actually look when you get out of those low frequencies. It's overwhelming some days. I feel so overwhelmed and blessed in what's even to come, the potential of what's there to play with once you realize this as well. It's like, wow, I'm like, what can I draw to me? What can I magnetize to me as my electromagnetic field becomes even more allowed to be what it wants to be, right? When it's not like condensed in all this like survival emotion. It's beautiful.
Well, that might be true of most humans. It's certainly not true of you. I mean, you live in Malta. You're almost certainly a pure blood reptilian bloodline.
Yeah.
But on behalf of the hominid family, I can confirm that what you said is largely true.
Exactly. That is true, actually. But I told you before we began, stop giving away my identity. See, you never listen. Never.
You shapeshifter.
You never ever listen to me. It's like a joke. I put myself on these damn calls just to be revealed.